Hello, and welcome to the first episode of the Battleship Brawl Companion. I'm Evil for Zergan, and in this series, I'm going to be reviewing the contestants in Menti's Battleship Brawl Tournament Season 2. This episode, we have the Battleship CRAM Duo by bokke1010, the first entry in the tourney to fight, and also First Blood in the tourney, winning its first matchup. I'll be going over the three main properties of battleships for each entry, namely maneuverability, durability, and everyone's favorite, artillery. So let's get started. Maneuverability. I'm gonna fire up the engines here. Now I've noticed that the engine on this ship has only 800 power. Even so, the ship is making a decent speed of about 16 meters per second. That's about 31 knots. Comparable to fast battleships in real life. So, how's it able to do this? Well, hull streamlining. You'll see that the sides of the front here are made up of mostly these wood downslopes 4 meters long. These slopes have a forward drag value of just 0.1. Pretty low, only exceeded by these 4-meter corners. So, although this side has a lot of area, it's actually not causing that much drag. What's interesting about this ship is these strange-looking spikes on the front. Menti speculated that these are a drag reduction measure, and all signs point to him being exactly right. If we go into drag view mode, we'll see that all of these are yellow or green, showing that they're contributing very little forward drag. So how are they doing this? Well, these slopes require some open space in front of them. If I, for example, put a block here, all these turn red. That's because the space above the slope on the slope side is obstructed. That keeps it from contributing its lower drag value. Now, the thing is, only the space next to the thickest part of the slope is checked. So, if I grab a wood block here, this space is open. Therefore, this downslope is contributing its lower drag value, even though this space is closed. Only this one matters. A pretty neat trick. Let me get back to the default draw mode. Now let's move on to durability. We've got a couple of side airfield tanks here, probably to increase stability. The bow is packed thick with wood and metal. So we can expect this ship to be fairly durable from the front. Even if a gigantic cram strikes the bow, the explosion caplet means it's not going to reach anything important back here. Way in the back here, we've got the AI fully encased in heavy armor. See that both ships only have their one AI, but with so much armor around it, it's going to be pretty tough to take out. One interesting about this ship is that it's got a pretty huge number of repair bots. At the fore, we've got this cluster of 12. Midships, we've got 8. Another 12 right behind it. Got the magazine. And at the rear, we've got 14. Yeah. So, that's a lot of repair bots. Oh yeah, and 4 here. There's one more curiosity about this ship. If we go to the middle here, we'll see that there's a couple of surge protectors, which aren't of use in this tournament since EMP was banned, and a couple of ACBs, which make reference to shields. So it seems likely that shields were once located here, and this ship was originally designed for something outside of this turning. Finally, let's talk about the armor. The primary gun here is a 1943mm cannon. It's got plenty of provisions: 36 ammo boxes, 3 digits of explosive materials, and a good number of hardening boxes. This is a pretty good loadout for a cram cannon, seeing as this is fused with penetration depth and time since first surface. It's going to go inside the enemy ship, blow up, and hopefully cause massive damage. This main cannon has a diameter of 7. 7 is a great diameter for cram cannons. If you look closely here, you'll see that these explosive material boxes, which are pretty expensive at 100 materials each, are arranged in this sort of X pattern with autoloaders all around. In fact, all of these are being served by no fewer than 4 autoloaders. That's a very efficient setup, and one of my favorites. On the outside, there's still room for some pretty decent 2 autoloader connections, which is great for putting these somewhat less expensive components like ammo boxes and hardening pellets. All in all, a very well constructed main gun. The one downside I could see is the barrel is relatively short. I'd probably estimate it as maybe 10 or 15 long. The muzzle velocity, it's also got these suppression barrels, which reduce muzzle velocity. At 140 meters per second, it's somewhat on the low side for such a large cannon. But overall, one of the better built cannons I've seen. Let's see. Switching to the secondary battery of 2 guns. These are 16mm with a similar setup, just scaled down somewhat. Especially in the ammunition, the fire rate, despite its larger gauge, is not much better than the main gun. These guns have a diameter of 5, which is still manageable, but not as good as 7 in terms of efficiency. Of course, if you're trying to pack them into a small space, sometimes you don't have a choice. And now the tertiaries. 1406mm. Again, explosive focus with a bit of hardening on the side. These ones have only 4 ammunition boxes yet, each. And the diameter is only 3. This makes it a lot harder to make an efficient gun. Each of these explosive boxes is still decently well connected. But you end up having to use a lot of connectors. Probably the weakest part of the tertiaries is its small ammunition load. Each of these boxes only loads 1 ammunition per second, so in a long battle, it's likely that you'll run out. Although, granted, most battles in this tournament are going to be rather short, so this probably won't happen in practice. The other disadvantage, of course, is that the fire rate is not as good as it could be. Still, a very good set of guns. Decent enough speed despite its low engine power. And pretty solid protection. All in all, a pretty decent entry. There is one major disadvantage, which is that Bokke managed to spend just over 80% of the tournament material limit. The limit is 200k. Bokke spent just over 160k. That's almost 20% below the limit, which will tend to mean 20% less firepower and 20% less durability than could have been got otherwise. But one may say the greater challenge, the greater the honor. So, best of luck, Bokke, in the rest of the tournament, and I'll see you next time.